Hey guys, welcome back to RHR Jen. I'm so glad you're here. Today, I have a very special guest with me. I have John Witherspoon. Hi, John. How are you doing?
Hi, Jen. I'm good. How are you? Nice to be with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. John, there's a reason I asked you here today. I've heard that you're a twerking expert. Can you confirm or deny?
Sorry to disappoint.
Oh no, I had the wrong guest on. Okay.
Yeah.
No, you and I have had lots to say offline about this video. And so I thought, if you felt like it, I'd have you back. We could talk more about the video and about some more thoughts we had on Harry and Meghan and all the craziness going on with those two, if you're up for it.
Sure.
Well, thank you. As always, I like to remind everyone to follow you on social media. Remind everyone what your Instagram is.
Witherspoon, DC.
Okay, sounds good. And that's where you'll be making a big announcement at some point once you decide to start up a channel, right?
That's correct. And I have content, so it's getting closer.
And is the content twerking?
It is not. It's not.
Okay.
So although I will add that as an option if I get desperate, I may consider going that direction.
That's right. You can give Meghan some pointers. There you go. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, I guess that leads me right into our first topic. Of course, I wanted to talk about that twerk video. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to run in the background for a second. You probably do mind. I'm going to run in the background for a second while we discuss. So
I'll cover my eyes. I'm
going to ask the obvious question because I already know we've been discussing it. But John, have you seen this video before?
More than I'd like.
John, is that you in the foreground of that video dancing around? Or?
Wow. Sorry to disappoint, but no, those are not my moves.
Oh, okay. You said you'd be showing your moves later, right? In the video, is that correct?
Sure.
Okay, great. No, so obviously you've seen the video. What are your initial thoughts seeing this? Besides, yippee.
Well, look, I think there's a lot more to unpack here than people have been talking about. I think a lot of the people who have commented on this are looking at it from just sort of the cringe factor, but I think there's something to be discussed in terms of why it is so cringeworthy, and that, you know, the nervous laughter that people have had when discussing this. I just think that there's a multi-level set of things to talk about.
Absolutely.
In terms of that video. I still am having a hard time getting my head around it. I think it is absolutely remarkable. I do not think it is just yet another thing that Meghan and Harry have done, or Meghan in particular has done, that makes everybody just sort of roll their eyes. I view this video as a sea change moment in the world's impressions of Harry, and in particular Meghan. And I know we can try and talk about some of the reasons for that, but I think this is a very, very important moment in the already too long saga of the Meghan and Harry show. This is, I think this is so indicative of so many other things that it's really worth trying to unpack a little bit.
I think so too. I'm so glad you're willing to discuss this with me because I feel the same way. I definitely did that initial reaction video where it's just like, oh my gosh, but I'm ready to go deeper into it and would love to discuss that with you. I guess my first question to you, John, would be, do you think, I mean, we've seen now people reacting to it. Do you think that Meghan anticipated this kind of reaction, this kind of backlash? What do you think?
No. I don't think she has the presence of mind to contemplate what the backlash might be. And I think to the extent that she did think about it, I think she convinced herself, as I think is often the case, that the people who are not going to like this or are going to say, oh my gosh, this is unseemly or whatever, it's just the haters again.
Okay.
And it's the same people that didn't like this and they made fun of as ever. And they rated me the #1 disliked high profile person in the world on ranker.com. And, I'm sure she's got every excuse in the book inside of her head for why this has the potential to be received poorly. And that is assuming, and it's a big assumption, that she actually contemplated this. Even as scheming and manipulative as she is, I doubt that she thought about what the reaction would be. And I think if she thought there would be any reaction, it would be, oh, isn't that cute? And oh, it's funny. And oh, she's celebrating motherhood and so forth. And the same thing is true for Harry. If there was ever any doubt in anybody's mind that Harry is not really very smart, this should take care of it once and for all. This is the dumbest thing for him to be talked into it in the first place, for him to participate in it, and for him to allow himself to be filmed doing something that is so degrading of himself, and to allow his wife to engage in this type of thing that is so very degrading for her and so offensive to any woman who has ever had a baby.
Yeah.
I mean, again, like I said, if ever there was any doubt that Harry was dim-witted, this should eliminate it.
Agree. Completely agree. Do you think that just talking about this, I'm just wondering, do you think that she let him know she was going to post this? Or
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
So I wonder if he even remembered that they filmed it. He did mention it in Spare in passing, but I just wonder if he still had that in his mind, or if he ever expected that for Lily's 4th birthday, this would be something she would post.
No, I don't think so.
No, probably not. I agree. Do you think she cares that there's a negative reaction as long as people are discussing her? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, again, I think it's to the point I made a minute ago. I think she probably thinks about this and she just says, oh, well, okay, fine. If people don't like it, those are just the haters, and it's just the media, and it's just talk TV, and it's just, there's Kinsey again, and there's Maureen Callahan and all of the other people that are talking about it. Well, they just don't like me, and they never have, and they never will. So I don't care.
But I just wonder, so it's that she's happy to be discussed, and anything negative is just unwanted critics. Yeah. Basically,
I think she just thinks about it in terms of, well, you win some, you lose some, and this is a cool thing. I also don't think that she really has the wherewithal to anticipate the way that people have looked at this.
Yeah.
I think she probably thought to herself, well, there's some people that probably won't like it because they don't care for the soundtrack and the song that's playing in the background, and they don't like it that, there's people who are going to accuse me of having using a prosthetic baby bump and blah, blah, blah. But those people are just my detractors, and I don't really care what they're going to think. As long as my core group of people, my fans, my supporters, are buying into this, then that's all I really care about.
Ah, goodness. So again, that feeds into what you and I always say, which is she'll never learn. If she doesn't actually listen, she won't learn from stuff like this. Yeah.
I don't even think she wants to learn.
True.
I don't think
anything she needs to learn.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. Because why would you, as I think I've mentioned once before, I used to work for a guy who I really liked, and one of his favorite go-to comments was, what you learn after you know it all is what really counts.
Oh, that's good.
Have I not mentioned that before? I thought I was sure I had mentioned that. But what you learn after you know it all, that's what really counts. Meghan clearly thinks she knows it all, but there's a whole extra level of knowledge that And I had another great boss who also repeatedly said, "You don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what you don't know." And this
Definitely.
goes back. I mean, I heard these little nuggets decades ago, and they've stuck with me because I think they're so important and so profound.
Yeah, definitely. I think so too.
That's another thing too that I think when you're a lawyer, you try to look around. You try to anticipate as best you can what's around the next corner. Again, it's a difference between playing chess and checkers and so forth. You try to anticipate what's around the next corner that you might not think is there. You always have to be aware of that.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's impossible. I've been blindsided by things, and again, you learn from it. But Meghan's the type of person that I don't think she would contemplate. Maybe there's going to be an enormous backlash here that has a far greater impact than just, the usual same old, oh, there's Meghan again. Boy, we sure don't like her, do we?
Yeah.
I don't think she anticipates that she could do anything that would really ratchet things up in the way that I think this has the potential to.
I think we're there. I agree. From everything I've seen, I think we're there. I think this is big. This is a big deal for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. I think this was meant to silence critics, especially people that, and I always like to say, and especially in this case, when we talk about subjects like this, these are our opinions. We don't know.
Absolutely.
Our opinion, we're just discussing what we think is happening. Just, again, just all our opinion. Right. So my opinion is, I think this is meant to silence critics who might claim that possibly a surrogate was used, because we have heard that claim before. But what's interesting to me is it seems to be fueling the narrative further. That's what I've noticed. Have you noticed the same? Have you noticed similarly? Like, I've always been hesitant to talk about that stuff, but now I feel like, well, she's pushing it out there and it's weird. So I'm going to talk about the weirdness of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I agree. And there are people who have, not being a woman, why is that so complicated for me to say? I don't know why. I don't know exactly what a pregnant woman, I have a general idea of what a pregnant woman looks like, but I don't know the specifics. But I have heard a number of people, especially women, who have said it does not look like a baby underneath that dress or whatever it is that she's wearing.
Nope.
Because it doesn't have the same shape, it doesn't have the same contour, it doesn't do a lot of things.
It defies physics in a weird way. Yeah.
Yes. Uh-huh. And what's interesting too is that if you've ever seen the movie Fargo, the woman who's the police chief in that movie. She what?
Frances McDormand.
Yes, exactly. Terrific actor, terrific performance. She's pregnant in that movie, and she talks in some of the commentary about the fact that the way that they decided to replicate a pregnancy on her was to strap a bag of birdseed to her, because they felt like that the bag of birdseed would not only replicate the shape of a pregnant belly, but it would also force her to move in a certain way relative to how she would normally move. And when you look at her in that movie, you understand, especially after hearing that comment, you really understand what it is that she's talking about, because it is a remarkable replica of a real baby. And you look at this performance with Meghan, and you just think, gosh, it does not look like a film version of, make it stop.
Sorry. But you're right. Absolutely.
It does. She does not look like Frances McDormand looked in Fargo with a bag of birdseed strapped to her.
That's right.
It just doesn't move correctly.
There's
And she,
so
by the way,
many.
Frances McDormand said in all of the DVD commentaries, she talks about the fact that, we just thought of we went through, what about this? What about that? What about the other? No, we're going to use birdseed. And darn well that they could have had anything they wanted.
Oh, yeah.
This is the Coen brothers. They could, Hollywood, major Hollywood production.
Mhm.
The sky's the limit, especially on a detail that's that important. And they decided that birdseed was better than some sort of artificial prosthesis that would have emulated. And again, we're totally speculating here, but I just remembered that when I saw that video, I thought that does not look like a truly pregnant woman for any number of reasons. Like I said, the most obvious of them being the shape and the way it moves. And I can already hear people in the comments saying, yes, yes, yes. When I was pregnant, I this, I that. And
leave us your comments on that. I want to read about that. That's right. Tell us what's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I
don't find it convincing.
No,
I don't find it convincing.
Mm-hmm. There's so many things that don't make any sense. And something else that people have been pointing out too is not just the physics, the movements, all that. She had claimed she had preeclampsia, which would put a complication on things. She talked about this, how she was afraid to tip over because her ankles are so small. The fact that she's not wearing a hospital gown, but is wearing jewelry is just, there's just a lot of stuff.
Well, and again, this is total speculation, but there are a number of people who have speculated. There are some people who actually have said, oh, I recognize that. That's at such and such a hospital. And that is in a ward where, and again, total speculation, but that appears to be in a ward where they set it up so that a mother who is receiving a surrogate child can have as full and complete an experience as possible, because they put the mother who's receiving the child in one room, and then just down the hall is the delivery room where the surrogate, again, in theory, is delivering the baby, and then the baby is checked out to make sure it's okay, and then it's taken down the hall and presented to the mother that is, the woman who is going to be the child's mother over the long haul. And again, not saying that that's what happened, but I'm just saying that that's some of the speculation that's out there, and it's very interesting. And it's to your point, Jen, about, well, why would she be wearing jewelry? Why is she wearing whatever she's wearing not a hospital gown? Why doesn't she have an IV? Why doesn't she, all of these very interesting questions.
Like, why would he put in his book, in his book Spare, about eating fajitas? Typically, I know when I went in to have my Gosling, they said you can't eat until after the baby's born, just in case. You don't know if you'll have to have surgery or what. So there's just things like that, I would say, those are all interesting points.
And the other point too, which we were discussing was, I know people, one person in particular who was at the end of her first trimester, and the doctor said to her, if you want to give birth to this child after 9 months, again, it's only been 3 months, but you need to go home and get in the bed and stay there for the second and the third trimesters. And if you don't, you will lose the child. And again, that was probably a little bit of an extreme case. And it's like, yes, you can get up and make yourself a sandwich or go to the bathroom, take a shower, whatever it is. But you basically need to stay in the bed for 6 months. And she did it. And this is decades ago, and the kid is just fine, and everybody's fine. And thank goodness for that. But Meghan has talked so much about she's got this condition and that condition and all these complications, and it was so difficult and so upsetting and everything. Why in the world would you go through this kind of an exercise, knowing full well that you're having, apparently, from all accounts, a troubled pregnancy? This was not just, a drive-through pregnancy. This was something with a little bit of difficulty. And why would you, again, I know nothing about giving birth to children, but I do have common sense. And common sense would say to me, if I was having a complicated pregnancy, I would not behave in the way that she's behaving.
I did not have a complicated pregnancy and I wouldn't do it. There's no way. Why would you put yourself in the risk? You could slip, anything. Why would you do that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to say nothing of I know this is probably on your list as well, in the spirit of digging a little bit deeper to what's going on here.
Yeah.
Again, as a man, I don't understand what goes on in a woman's mind and heart and everything else when she's pregnant and is going to give birth. However, I can make a pretty good guess. I would think that it is a deeply, I don't want to say religious experience, but if I say that, you have an idea of what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I would think there are few things in a woman's life that make her think about her role in the universe and what's going on here and all of that type of thing. And for her to behave that way.
Yeah.
When I would think that her mind would be consumed with so much more of a profound mindset.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've heard women talk about that. I've heard my mom talk about this.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom saying when she gave birth, and again, put your own story in the comments. I remember my mom saying that when she gave birth to me, the first thing that she did was to count my fingers and toes to make sure everything was looking okay. I'm sure she's not alone in doing that kind of a thing. You know what I mean? And so you think about the magnitude of that mindset and you juxtapose it against the frivolous, disrespectful, almost seeming mindset that Meghan appears to be in. It just is so jarring, and I think that's why so many people are referring it to cringe as being cringeworthy and so forth. And talking about what it involved for Meghan, so many different levels. First of all, the idea that you would do this, that's one level. Another level is you would do this and you would record it. The third level is you would not only record it, but you would post it to the internet for the entire world to see. And then yet a fourth level is you would post it to the internet for the world to see in celebration of your child's fourth birthday.
Yep.
I mean, this is just beyond the comprehension of most people, I think. And then let's just talk about what it is that she's dancing to. She is dancing to a song that is celebrating a very antisocial, for lack of a better term, way of acting and behaving. She is dancing and she's effectively emulating a lap dance to a song that is about having babies to turn them into ATMs. That is effectively what she's talking about in this, what the lyrics of this song, what the singer is talking about, and celebrating having multiple babies, apparently without fathers in the lives of these children. And she thinks with all of the conversation that she goes through about, oh, well, I'm an expert on parenting and this and that, and Harry and I, we're looking out for children and blah, 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 for her to celebrate her own child by doing a simulated lap dance to music that talks about the wonders of children as avenues to bring in more money, and basically to turn them loose on the world without caring about what the world thinks of you or about the life that the children are going to have. I mean, it's a whole another level of what the hell were you thinking?
Yeah.
In the whole affair.
Only about herself would be my guess. That seems to
well,
be
and she thinks it's cute. We have an enormous problem. It's a worldwide problem. It's particularly a problem in the United States of fatherless children.
Mm-hmm.
And yet here she is dancing and having a good old time to a song that basically is about fatherless children and the wonders of having fatherless children, or maybe they are maybe the fathers are involved. Again, I don't want to go too deep into it, but she's talking about something that is a very, very antisocial, non-optimal, to put it mildly, state of affairs.
That's exactly it. I was trying to pull.
She's glorifying it. She's really glorifying it.
You're so right. I have the here it is, the lyrics. I was trying to put them up on screen. I couldn't find them, but the pertinent part is get the child support and pay my rent. Pay my rent. Because I'm a baby mama. I can do just what I wanna. So I think it's that, but I also think that's still clapping back at people. Maybe I'm giving her too much credit for thought of people claiming she's not the mom, of this kid. So yeah. Anyway,
yeah,
the whole thing is just
and here's another thing too. She has tried so hard to portray herself as being upscale, as, oh, I love to host people. I live in all this splendor in a multi-million-dollar house, and I love to do frilly things like
elevate. She elevates things.
Elevate my food with mint, and I hang out with the high people in high society and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Do
you think, in your wildest fever dream, that you would ever see Gwyneth Paltrow, Reese Witherspoon, even female celebrities that may or may not rub people the wrong way, would they ever in a million years engage in this activity? Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah.
And she wonders why people don't want to collab with her and don't want to come on her podcast.
You're right. Yeah, you're right.
You would never, ever see that.
No.
Nicole Kidman. I don't care, go through the whole list of A-list celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't dream of doing this, recording it, saving it,
mm-hmm.
and then whipping it out on your daughter's 4th birthday to show to the world.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
I mean, to say this is trashy behavior, I don't know another word to characterize it beyond that. This is the all-time mask slip for Meghan Markle. And that's part of why I say I think this is a sea change. This is a major corner that has been turned in the book about Meghan Markle's life.
Yeah.
This is an unrecoverable own goal, or putting the ball into your own net.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot imagine a corporate sponsor that would want to work with her after this. No. This is so much a reflection of what I think Meghan's true self is, mm-hmm. which is I hate to use the word low life. Somebody used that to me in conversation the other day, and it's just somebody's opinion.
Yeah.
But it is low life type activity.
Uh-huh.
And when you talk about a mask slipping, I think it really reveals who she genuinely is. I think for most of her life, she has been around people, and to her father's great credit, putting her into a private school where she could associate with people that had a little bit of class and probably was being told how to behave and what her manners ought to be, and so on and so forth. And then for her to be at Northwestern and be around some people who I'm sure had some degree of sophistication. She learned enough from those people to be able to create a mask for herself.
Yeah, I think so too.
But when the mask slipped, she showed her true self. And that's what's going on in this video. And that's why I think it's so profound.
I think so too. And you know why I'm smiling like that?
Why?
Because of your favorite quote from Silence of the Lambs. Go ahead.
Yes, you look like a rube.
Yeah,
good nutrition with you look like a rube with your fancy purse and your cheap shoes. Good nutrition has given you some length of bone, but you're not more than one generation removed from poor trailer trash or something to that effect.
Yes. I mean, it's pretty, as I say, spot on.
Yeah.
It is.
And it's not only so revealing about her, it's also so revealing about him. With all of the upbringing that he had and all of the coddling and coaching and tutoring and etiquette lessons and everything else, his mask has slipped here too. Not only did he not tell her, don't do that.
Yeah.
He participated in it.
Absolutely.
He participated in it. And he didn't apparently think in a million years that this video would get out into the wild and would end up on the front page of everything.
Yeah.
And being the lead story with Kevin O'Sullivan and Kinsey and on Talk TV and all these royal commentators and Dan Wooten and Maureen Callahan, all these people. Never in a million years did it apparently occur to him that this might not be the best idea in the world.
And this is after a pool scandal and after a costume scandal. You think that doofus would think twice about, hey, maybe I don't need to photograph everything.
Absolutely. Excellent points. And Jen, I've mentioned before, and I'll just tell this as a quick anecdote. I've mentioned before I have some affiliation with the public service, the public safety community in the DC area. There have been times when I have been, and I rarely wear a uniform, but when I do put a uniform on, I remember an occasion a year or so ago when I had a uniform on and, badge, uniform shirt with epaulets on the collar and a name tag, a name plate and all of that stuff. And I was in a restaurant and we sat down at a table and somebody wanted to order alcohol. And I said, I am not comfortable being at a table where alcohol is being served. Why? Because let's say I leave the restaurant and through no fault of my own, even though I haven't consumed any alcohol and even though it's through no fault of my own, let's say I get into a car accident and I'm sitting there and I've got a public safety uniform on. And let's say that somebody's really hurt and the TV cameras show up and somebody comes out of the restaurant and says, oh, I recognize that guy. He was just inside at a table.
Sure.
And then they look at the security cameras and they say, oh, look at that. That person's got there's a glass of wine on the table and there's a beer on the table. Was he having any of that? Who were those drinks for? I said, look, I don't even want to go anywhere near this. And that's the way, at least I think, and people might say, oh, that's outrageous. That's ridiculous. You're being paranoid. It's like, no,
you have to.
I guarantee you, if there are, I mean, it's partly, and that was drilled into my head. It's like, don't ever do anything where you might have the potential to be compromised. So the way that we solved that problem in the restaurant was that the people said, you know what, we get it. We understand. We will just have Sprite or water or whatever it is. We will not have alcohol on the table. And I even said, I will go out to the car. I will take this uniform gear off and I will put on just a polo shirt or something like that. And they said, no, 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 no. We totally get where you're coming from. Don't jump through any hoops. We don't need beer. We don't need wine. Let's just enjoy our meal and you can keep your uniform on. It's like, great. That's perfect.
That's good. That's good.
And again, though, it's that type of playing chess, looking around corners, being introspective, that is totally missing from Harry.
I think so. Yeah.
I fault him every bit as much as I do Meghan.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I really do.
Yeah, because you're telling me there's nobody around trying to advise them. It's just that they go, we know better. So yeah, I don't.
Well, yeah, this was going out of their, both of them going out of their way to do something which had tremendous, tremendous potential to be destructive. And again, just my opinion, I think if Meghan, I don't know why Meghan did not have in her mind the solemnity of the occasion and the sanctity of the occasion.
Exactly.
I am about to do maybe the most important thing that I will ever do in my life.
Right.
And I have waited 9 months for this.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, and I have seen, I hear women talking about how it changes their perspective on their existence the first time they go for a sonogram and they hear the baby's heartbeat and they see the image of the baby where they can make out the head or the fingers or whatever it is. People talk, I hear women talk about what a life-altering experience that is and how it changes your view of why you're on the earth in the first place.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It really does. And I was telling you, Jen, again, privately, just to go off on a little bit of a tangent, I recently had what would be considered an executive physical done, where they look at basically everything they can possibly look at to make sure everything is correct and that there's not some looming problem that's going to rear its head several years down the road. One of the things they did as part of that was, I had heard my heartbeat before, but I had never heard my heart valves, which make kind of a swishing, it's like kind of a noise. When I heard that, and you hear it through the speaker because they make a recording of it, and then they analyze the recording, a cardiologist comes along and analyzes the recording. When I heard that, and I thought about, okay, this has been going on, this has happened over 1 billion times, well over 1 billion times at my age, nonstop for decades. Again, that is a very thought-provoking, like, whoa, cool. This is like I'm having a religious experience.
Yeah.
Absolutely. To hear that. And again, apparently that was lost on Meghan for whatever reason, right. either because she's the only word I can think of is defective potentially. Yeah. Again, talking about my opinion here. She's not wired up like a normal person would be. Or some people might argue, again, in their opinion, she's never pregnant in the first place. Right. So she doesn't have that mindset of the profoundness. And again, it's like, I am a small dot in this giant universe. and yet I am going to do most profound thing that I will do in my entire life. Anyway,
that's it.
I'm sure
That's all I can. Yes, it takes me back to the moment. And I remember telling my mom, if something happens to me, what to do and protect this baby. You think about things like that, like, because it's a serious medical event and you don't know what's going to happen. So yeah, it's about those moments. And I even said too, in the other recording I did, I am someone with a fun sense of humor and I find humor in most things. And it is a long, boring process in parts. So I'm not saying it's serious the whole time. My mom and I joked around, all that stuff, but there is a time and a place. I was not out of the bed twerking. We may have cracked a few jokes, like I'm on vacation or whatever it was, and she's not filming me.
Right. Or I'm up to 100 psi now. You know what pounds per square inch. It's like don't poke me with something because I don't want to.
I'll fly around the room. Yeah.
Yes. Right. Like a cartoon. I mean, yes, we've all heard those kinds of jokes, and it's and I have also heard women say, I'm so ready. I love this experience, but I'm so ready for it to be done.
Exactly.
I bring on the dirty diapers and bring on the 3 a.m. Feedings and all of this stuff. I can't, but anything. I will be so thrilled to not have to lie on my back all the time.
That's right. That's exactly it. Yep, absolutely. Yep. So I get the humor, but that's a different level. I just can't imagine putting, again, unnecessary risk for myself or the baby to bounce around like that.
And again, to say nothing of the disrespect.
Yes, absolutely.
It is disrespectful for someone who talks so much about the importance of being a strong, independent woman and fulfilling her role and wanting to be able to do everything, to denigrate and disrespect that part of being a woman, I think is deeply offensive to people. And even if they can't articulate it, I think part of the reason why nobody has really unpacked this in the way that I think I'm hoping that we are unpacking it today is that the shock has still not worn off for a lot of people, and they don't know what to think of it. They don't know how to analyze it. And it's, again, it is so, people always talk, they're hypocrites, and Harry and Meghan, they say this and they do that. This is by far the most profound hypocrisy.
Yeah, I think so too.
That we have ever seen from Meghan and Harry.
I think
especially Meghan. Especially Meghan.
And that ties back into something else that I had brought up that I wanted to bring up again. I think it bears mentioning again is her whole thing was my kids have to be in the line of succession. Otherwise it's theist words. But then I refuse to participate in any of the royal traditions, including there's a photo call with the royal babies after the mother gives birth. Refuse to do that for privacy's sake. Okay, and then post this. You can't make any sense out of that. Like, where's, again, the hypocrisy is off the charts.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is. You're 100% right. And it's like, and people, there's a famous United States Supreme Court case involving pornography. And there was a comment made that I can't tell you exactly what pornography is, but I know it when I see it.
Yeah.
I know it when I see it. And I think a lot of people, and I'm not comparing what Meghan has done. I'm not not saying that she's involved in pornography or anything like that. So let's be clear. But I think people's reaction to this video is kind of along the same lines. I can't put my finger on what I don't like so deeply about it. But I know it when I see it. There's something deeply offensive about what's going on here. I can't describe it. I can't flesh it out necessarily.
Right.
But I just know that I really, really don't care for it at all.
What I still go back to, this is just my opinion, no proof, just my speculation, is if a surrogate was involved, it's more of a slap in the face for insisting on line of succession while also saying, look how stupid everybody is. I'm pulling a fast one on everybody, whatever. And so I think we're all getting the same ick feeling, because if that's the case, then
Yeah.
that would
And
be.
it is just, I mean, it is so trashy.
It's
That's
the
the word.
OJ book. Remember, he wrote the "If I Did It." That's the feeling I'm getting. I'm just realizing. Do you remember that? Like, it's like
Yeah.
that. This is
Yeah.
if I did it.
And you know what? You think about, Meghan famously went out on a street corner at the direction of Ellen DeGeneres, and she
Yes.
squatted down on the sidewalk
Yes, with a bottle of milk. Yes.
with and people thought that was bad.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
That pales in comparison to what she's done now with a baby.
You're so right.
It just couldn't be more disrespectful and more of a middle finger to the royal family, to the world in general, and to the kid, to her own kid.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree completely. Absolutely.
It just boggles people's minds.
It does. Going back to our questions, let's see. Do you think this further undermines Harry? I think you had kind of touched on that. Do you feel like
absolutely 100%? He looks as bad as she does. And it's not because he's dancing around and so forth. It's because he condoned it. He did not put a stop to it. Did not put a stop to her doing it. He participated in it. He did not put a stop to her recording it. And he did not put a stop to her releasing it to the world, into the wild.
I agree.
He is every bit as culpable as she is. And the only saving grace might be, if it is a saving grace and it's an explanation about what happened, it's that, she did it as a middle finger to Harry.
Yeah.
To emasculate him and to say to him, I'm in charge, I'll do what I want. I don't give a damn about making you look like a fool in this video when it gets out there and everybody's going to see it. I can say with a fair degree of confidence, in my own opinion, that that's part of what went through her mind. She's like, hey, you know what? I can accomplish all of these goals, and very prominent in the list is I can make Harry look like an ass.
Yeah, I think
by doing this.
I think so too. Absolutely.
And he's too stupid to understand and to have any concept of what was going on. Again, in the same vein as, like I talked about, being in the restaurant with alcohol on the table, no way, I'm not having that.
Right.
He could have said, I will not participate in this video. If you want to make an ass of yourself and dance around like a woman in a gentleman's club, in a private room, and act like you're doing a lap dance, you knock yourself out. I will not be present for that.
Yeah.
But there he was. There he was.
It's so long. And just, to me, it again, my opinion, it points more toward the theory that it's not real, because again, I mean, I know you don't have kids, but hypothetically, if your partner was very much in labor and had preeclampsia and she's dancing around like a maniac, isn't your first reaction to go, oh my God, hold on, you're going to fall down. What are you doing? Are you having a stroke?
Or why are you doing this at all?
Yes.
You're gyrating around, like she's trying to shake the baby loose or something like that. And spreading her legs.
That's right.
and squatting down.
Oh, allow me. Yes, there you go.
Thank you. Or no, thank you. But it's.
Yeah. So Harry's reaction is to continue to dance as well. And I'm not saying he's, it's all his fault. I'm just saying that's a weird reaction as well.
Or even, are you nuts? What are you doing to not just our child, but my child?
Yes. That's exactly.
If the mother of my child was doing that,
Exactly. Well, and in fairness, like take that out of it. If you're up for a hernia operation and I'm there as your friend visiting you and you get up and start dancing, I'd be like, what are you doing? Are you okay? What's
Right.
going on?
Right.
Just normal human reaction is, why are we dancing? What are you doing?
Right. So it's the obscenity of it. It's the practical aspect of it from a medical perspective.
Yeah.
And as you said, what if you slip and fall?
Right.
The first thing you do when you get in a hospital is they strip your shoes and socks off, and they give you a pair of socks with, little rubber bars on the bottom so that you don't slip. That's the first thing they do.
Uh-huh. And when you're that pregnant, they put a call button. They put a call button in my hand and said, you need to go to the bathroom or anything. You call and we'll help you.
Or they put it on a necklace around your neck, on a chain around your neck, and say, here's a little clicker.
Don't do anything on your own. We got you. Yeah, exactly.
And clearly they're in a hospital setting.
Yeah.
That's a hospital bed next to them.
One would think.
It just defies. It'd be interesting to come back a week or a month from now and kind of amalgamate all of the thoughts that I'm sure you and I are going to have, Jen, and that all the other commentators are going to have. That's why I say, to me, this is a hugely, hugely important moment.
I think so.
Here's another thing too. If I was at the Palace in London, I would look at this and I would say, not only is it the last straw in the context of everything else that's been going on for years and years, but this cannot be fixed. No one will ever be able to erase this from their consciousness.
No, I don't think so.
That here we have a prince, the second son of the King of England, acting like a complete idiot, no apparent thought for how this would impact his own reputation, his brother, the future king's reputation, his father's reputation, the current king, the institution of the British royal family. To me, this is far worse than the Halloween uniform with the German symbol on the arm, which I won't say. This is far worse than the hot tub episode with the being clothing optional episode in the hot tub in Las Vegas.
Right.
This is far worse than that, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And it's far worse. As I said a couple of minutes ago, in my opinion, this just reeks of someone whose heart and soul and DNA, in my opinion, is most comfortable in the gutter. This is, in my view, this is the mask, the ultimate mask slip. And what we see behind the mask is a trashy individual who has been around more sophisticated people enough to be able to emulate them and to fake it.
Yeah.
But who in her heart and soul, in my opinion, and her DNA, is a very unsophisticated, uncivilized, self-centered street hustler.
Yeah.
She would have, again, this is just my opinion, she would have, this is on par with her being photographed taking some sort of illicit substance.
Okay.
Smoking a certain kind of a pipe.
Sure.
Or whatever it is. I genuinely think, in my opinion, that is the level of damage that she has inflicted on herself in this.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. That's a good comparison. I think so too. And I'm with you. If you think I'm not going to have you back in a week to talk about what else is going on with this, you're wrong, because I think people will be talking about this for a long time to come. Do you feel like they will address the backlash in some some way? Will they ignore it? Will they blame others? What do you think, in your opinion?
Well, I think to the point that I made before, I think they will probably look at this. In particular, she will look at this and say, "Oh, well, it's just the haters again."
Okay. Will they address it?
Mm-hmm. Can you imagine that group of people that they've assembled as their royal court?
The mediocre mafia? Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking about these dozen or so people that they've the former assistant to Bill Gates and these other staff members that they have assembled. What do you think is going through their minds right now? Can you imagine?
If crazy enough to work for Harry and Meghan, they're probably like, "It's cute." I don't know. I think, as you like to point out, lack of critical thinking skills. So if there's a lack of critical thinking, maybe.
I would be even willing to bet that there are substantial numbers of people who are among their supporters, who in their heart of hearts have looked at this and said, "This is really bad. This is really bad."
Sure.
I would bet that those people are out there.
I don't doubt that.
They'll never admit it, I don't think, but.
Yeah, because I'm a diehard Catherine fan. She's my personal favorite of one of the favorites of the royal family. She would never, but let's just say hypothetically, she decided to. I would honestly say, "What's happening? What's going on? That's weird."
Yeah.
Yeah. But she would never.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Thank God William was born first. And thank God he found Catherine, right? Oh my goodness.
Well,
and then
again, there are these rumors out there that what Meghan was really hoping was to get her hooks into William. Mm-hmm. She wasn't so much interested in Harry as she was in William, and she thought that she could get in there and work her magic on William.
Yeah, no, not so much.
I mean, first of all, he's taken. Hello. Yeah. And then it's, why in a million years would you think that he would fall prey to your magic, whatever kind of spell you're able to weave?
It takes a special kind of stupid, and Harry's that special kind of stupid.
Well, and the idea that she could, and again, this is all just conjecture on people's parts, but it's very interesting, I think. The idea that she thought that she could make herself a more worthy suitor to William than Catherine. She has no concept of why William thinks Catherine is the perfect wife for him. And we've talked about this in other videos, and we don't have to go into all the details of it, but I mean, Catherine's beauty, her intelligence, her poise, her smile, her genuineness, her athleticism, her sportiness, her everything about Catherine is everything that Meghan is not. And it screams out to the entire world, and the only person who doesn't understand it is Meghan.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Harry understands it?
No.
Okay.
No.
Gotcha.
No. And there are all these rumors that Harry was very smitten with Catherine as well.
I think so.
And I think they're again, just my opinion, but they seem, from everything that I've ever seen and heard and read, I think there's something to that. Who wouldn't?
Yeah.
What guy would not look at Catherine with everything? She is the bomb. She is the deal. And by the way, she not only drives a truck in a dress, but she can drive stick as well. I know people in the UK are like, "What's the big deal with driving stick?" Men in the United States passed out cold on the floor when, I guarantee you, here's a woman, she looks great in a sundress. She not only drives a truck, but she drives it with a stick shift.
There you go.
Meghan couldn't dream of having men react to her in the way that men react to Catherine. Mm-hmm. And she has no concept of that.
Right. Absolutely.
No concept.
Mm-mm. Not at all.
And I don't think Harry probably could articulate it either. No. I think Harry probably would say, wow, I really like Catherine, but well, if I can't have her because my brother's already got his, got a connection there. If I can't break the bond between the two of them, well, oh, here's Meghan.
Yeah.
All right.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. A huge thank you to John Witherspoon for your time, for your patience, for your answering questions, and for sitting down and talking about all this stuff with me. I really appreciate it. I hope you all have enjoyed part 1 of the interview. There's still so much more that we get into with Harry and Meghan, with craziness with Harry, and just all the things that they're up to. So I can't wait for you to see the rest of this. Be sure to come back tomorrow and continue on the conversation with John Witherspoon. Make sure you subscribe to his Instagram as well, Witherspoon DC. Check that out. And again, a huge thank you to John for being so lovely and so kind and gracious with your time. So guys, thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you're subscribed, hit that thumbs up, leave me comments, all that stuff helps YouTube recommend my channel, and I am continuing to try to grow. So thank you for everything. I appreciate it. If you're at all interested, of course, check out my second channel. It's Goose Adventures. That's where I'm detailing my weight loss journey. Thank you for being here. I hope you have the best day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.